If everyone could please take your seats so we can begin our service. Good morning, everyone. It is so good to be back. I want to welcome all of you to the Namaqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are a congregation of open minds, loving hearts, helping hands, gutsy creativity, and feet that walk our talk. So I am so happy to see all of you. And today is a very special day. It's a tradition here at Namaqua and also all over the country and even all over the world in Unitarian Universalist congregations to celebrate this beautiful season of spring with the flower communion. I wonder if we have any visitors, and if so, I want to encourage you to write to me at revlaurel@namaquauu.org and let me put you on our list to receive our newsletter, because more than ever these days, we need to know what's going on at Namaqua, because believe me, we are still a beehive of activities and we really want to stay connected with one another. And so I do want to lift up some of the announcements that you'll find in the June newsletter and encourage all of you to stay connected. And even those of you who didn't used to read the crossings very regularly or faithfully, if you could start doing so, so you know what opportunities you have to stay connected to our congregation. One of the things is that I want to thank all of the worship associates who took care of the Sunday services while I was on my little mini sabbatical in May. And if you did read the crossings, you'll see that we are soliciting applications for people who are interested in being a worship associate for our next church year that starts on July 1st. So please read the article. Fred, I know I owe you an application and I will mail it to you this week. Others of you who may be interested, take a leap of faith and join our lay worship associate team. And this year we'll do what we did this past year, which is we actually have a sermon writing seminar that I think people really enjoyed. We also need to do our half plate ministry nominations. One of the ways that we walk our talk is that we share our collection plate each quarter with a local nonprofit. In June, we'll end our last quarter of the 2019-2020 church year. And so I encourage all of you to respond to the emails that you should have gotten and help us choose who will be our recipients in the next church year. Also, I'm excited that Chad, one of our new members, has initiated a book club, a Namaqua book club that will focus on uplifting, motivating nonfiction books. So that article as well is in the newsletter, and I think that would be a great way for us to connect and to keep our spirits up. Also, we have General Assembly coming up later this month, in fact, in a couple of weeks. General Assembly is an annual gathering of thousands of Unitarian Universalists. If you've ever been to a General Assembly, you want to raise your hand. And you can testify, right, that it is remarkable to join with so many UU individuals and congregations. Well, this year, because of what's going on with the pandemic, we're going to have a virtual General Assembly, and our Leadership Development Committee has some money so that it's $150 to register to participate in virtual General Assembly. And so if you're interested, contact the Leadership Development Committee. The chair is Karen Brock, and you'll be able to get some help with the funds to register for participating. And all of us will have an opportunity to participate the last Sunday in June. It's one of the highlights of General Assembly is the Sunday morning worship, where even the public is invited to attend. And so instead of having our regular service at 10, we'll all have an opportunity to see the General Assembly Sunday service that will begin at 11 on that Sunday. Sarah has a couple of pictures of where some of us from Namaqua were last night. You know that there are things going on in this country that are highly disturbing, and people have taken to the streets. And so last night I met at that Heart at Lake Loveland and hooked up with some of our Namaqua folks. You can see in the pictures, there's Marion Cox and Sue Matthews, Janet Gillette with her daughter Michelle, also Katie Fox and her daughter Mael came. I know that others have participated in some of the other demonstrations in Denver, in Fort Collins, and some of the ones earlier in our town of Loveland. And I have to say, it was so heartening to stand there with hundreds of people. And then the motorists who were passing by, I would say the vast majority of them were supportive. They would be honking their horns in a friendly way, holding up their fists or peace signs, saying go. We did have a few scares where, you know, a truck would veer hostilely towards us and honk their horn in a mean way, but most of the people were very, very supportive. And I always think how profound it is that we live at an intersection of our personal lives and our personal congregation, our individual congregation, but always in the context of the larger world. And so we will continue to pursue racial justice and even our own anti-racism work, including the book group that we had 4 groups read Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility. So we'll have another group to read that. And then those of us who have already participated in that will be reading another book together. So we do, as individuals, as a congregation, as a country, have a lot of work to do. Now, I have some news that probably will be disheartening at first, which is that the leaders and I have received in the past couple of weeks a notice from the Unitarian Universalist Association that their recommendation is to basically get psychologically prepared to continue with virtual services through May of 2021. And I know that when we read that, it was just like a kick in the gut, because I think we really miss being together. However, your leaders, your elected leaders, plus your staff, which is Janan Wright, our Director of Religious Education, and me, your minister, spent yesterday morning brainstorming about how it is that we can continue to build beloved community and also make plans for when we slowly will be able to get back together. And so the brainstorming, for one thing, faced the reality that we do need to be prepared to have virtual services at least for another probably many months, and in which case small groups become even more important. I know that some of you gather on Thursdays for social time together at lunch. I encourage you to continue to do that. And others of you who may have been a little bit more reticent to be organizers, think about ways that you can have maybe circle suppers. An idea that somebody had was maybe even gathering at a park at an appropriate social distance, but listening to one of our services and then having coffee together before or afterwards. We do have some covenant groups that are ongoing, and we'll start another round of those where we're using Soul Matters materials and delving into topics such as journey and belonging and courage. And those are very, very rich, spiritually enriching gatherings. Plus, you get to know people at a very deep, authentic level. So we will be offering some more of those. One of the things that I'm really excited about is that, well, it's kind of like one of those joys and sorrows, which is the sorrow is that next week on Sunday, we were planning to celebrate our 20th anniversary. But because we can't really celebrate when we can't get together, we are going to have something that was deferred from April, which is a reader's play called Women Speak. So Barbara Fleming has been our organizer, and we have women who will be dressed up and styling as Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm a very a very powerful, somewhat prickly Susan B. Anthony. We have Abigail Adams, Emma Goldman, Anyway, I encourage all of you to come next week for our Readers Play. And it's the kind of thing that gives me hope and that we get a kick out of each other. And I think that having fun together is one of the ways that we can make meaningful connections. And the thing is, this is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. So we were hoping to have it during Women's Month, the month of women, but having it on the 14th instead of our anniversary, I think is great. And what our fingers are crossed is that we will be able to have our celebration sometime in the year 2020. And, you know, one of the things I thought about yesterday is that, you know, Namaqua is a young congregation. And for the first 15 years, we met in 7 different places. So the Namaqua congregation is not our building. The congregation is the people who make up our community, and the can-do spirit and the improvisational abilities that are in the DNA of Namaqua, I think will help us not only tolerate this time, but I hope that we will continue to thrive and build our relationships that help give our life meaning. Now, in that spirit, our prelude is by the Waylon Jennings. It's called Glory Bound, and it isn't so much the words, it is the mood of the song and also the beautiful harmony that the Waylon Jennings are able to put together. So let me welcome all of you once again. I'm so happy to be back and enjoy this music.
Trumpet sound, I will lay my burdens
You know, one of the things when I was on my mini sabbatical, what I did is I walked at Mahaffey Park almost every morning, and I would be listening to music. And I admit I really missed you all while I was away, even though I was doing my best to relax and restore. But when I would hear this song come on, I could just imagine coming back and one of these days being able to have our house band of Tim Bob and me and Janet and Lauren, and anyway, playing that song live. So I will look forward to that day. And Janet will now do our chalice lighting reading.
We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches. Some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inward, and some of us spread ourselves out wide. Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground, and some of us stretch towards the sun. Some of us feel like weeds sometimes. Some of us carry seeds sometimes. Some of us are prickly sometimes. Some of us smell. And all of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are. Now please join me in saying our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And our opening song is a chant sung by the group Libana, and it is a traditional Navajo song about a worldview of walking in beauty.
Walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above is behind me, now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above is behind me, above is behind me, above is before me, beauty is behind me, above 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 and below me.
And now for our time for all ages, we're going to watch some flowers in bloom. And this is about the inner blossoming of our souls, as well as the outer blossoming that we can actually witness with our eyes. Like it says in the poem, I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl. I know this rose will open.
The time has come now for us to share what's going on in our personal lives, our joys and sorrows, and I will transfer for each joy and sorrow one of these glass pebbles from this bowl into this beautiful sky blue bowl representing the arms of our community. So any of you who may have birthdays or anniversaries to celebrate, why don't you raise your hand and unmute yourself and then tell us the good news. And then we'll go to more general. Brian.
Hi. I want to announce that I have a birthday coming up on Wednesday, June 10th, and I'll turn 80. Can you believe it?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I can't see all of you, so go ahead and unmute if you want to share about a birthday or anniversary.
Pete raised his hand.
Pete?
Hi, we just wanted to say that Rachel and Seth are here for a visit, so we're happy about that.
So you got a joy.
Yeah.
So Rachel, your daughter, who I understand is the one who came up with the name Namakwa when you all started the congregation, and her husband Seth. So tell them hello for us.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a joy or sorrow? We're moving from birthdays and anniversaries to general joys and sorrow. So actually, Brenda Christensen, who doesn't have a microphone today, she and her husband Way celebrated their 22nd year of marriage last week. So Brenda and Way, well done and happy anniversary to you. Anybody else raising their hand? Francie Leifert, don't you have a joy?
Yes, I'm happy that Milo turned 8 this past week, and that Mael will be some outrageous age for a Mael on the 13th. And I am delighted to have my son Marcus and my grandson Henry visiting for a few days.
Yes, indeed. And you'll get to see their picture a little bit later because they were able to participate in our flower communion on Friday.
There's Tig Young has her hand raised.
Okay. Tig?
Hi, I'm new here. Today's my first day, and I recently turned 50.
Aw. Well, I'm glad that you're able to be with us today.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you afterwards. Okay.
Mim raised her hand.
Yes, Mim?
I was just going to celebrate the fact that Milo is turning 8 years old.
All right. Happy birthday, dear Milo. Anybody else? Well, I want to share the joy to be back with you and to thank you once again to the worship associates and all of you for giving me some time to just chill. And I will also, oh, and Taylor graduated and enters high school next year. Yay, Taylor. And Hannah and Michael are having a girl. And so congratulations. We can't wait to dedicate that girl. I don't know how to figure out how to raise your hand either, but that's okay. We got it. We got the message. Rebecca, are you raising your hand or are you just, okay. All right. Yeah, and you know, one of the things I did when I was gone is that I sent some congratulations cards to some of our high school graduates who may not be around or who aren't officially members, but I sent one to Dylan, who is Nancy Kane's grandson, who graduated from high school. And I gave all of these people $40, two $20 bills to represent 2020. Another one is Ethan Dakota, who is part of the Dakota family. He graduated as well. And I forget who else. And Taylor, I got to send Taylor a card. Anyway, to the 2020 graduates who had one of the strangest probably graduations in recent memory, I'll put in a few stones for them. They are the hope of our future. And the ones that I know, like Ian Brock, are really someone who gives me hope. I know also that there are those of you who are even present at this service who feel too shy maybe to share, so I'm going to put some in for you. And then already I have lit our virtual candles, or they're not virtual, they're real, behind me here to represent the joys and sorrows beyond our walls. And as you can probably tell, today I'm at home instead of at church, and so I put this colored tablecloth to remind us of the hanging that's usually behind me when I'm in the sanctuary. So for all the joys and sorrows in our lives and in the lives of those that we share this earth with, we give our blessings and offer our comfort.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
I have had a suspicion for a long time that flowers, quiet as they are, have something important to say to us. One of my favorite anonymous quotes is, "Once I thought there was no God, but then I saw a rose." Have you ever had an experience like that? Every spring when those first brave flowers poke through the snow, bringing color to a monochrome world, I recognize that flowers are harbingers of wisdom as well as joy, insisting on their day to bloom, even in the most harsh climates. The first flowers bloomed in the middle of the Jurassic period 160 million years ago, way before humans inhabited the earth. And since then, many people have had many things to say about flowers down through the ages. Here's just a small sample. Flowers are sunshine, food, and medicine for the soul. That was Luther Burbank. Every flower is a prayer. Anonymous. Life is fleeting. Take time to smell the roses. And a rose by any other name still has its thorns. Shakespeare. Finally, Emerson said, "The earth laughs in flowers." Today we live in a world full of color, but it's interesting to remember that before colors could be synthesized, you might never see a certain color if not for the flowers that grew in your region. In some places, color was hard to come by. In fact, the reason why the color purple was only worn by emperors and kings is because it was so expensive. It was made from the bodies of crushed insects, a certain kind of insect, of course, and then later seashells. So only the rich could afford it, and peasants always wore drab colors. So flowers elevated life through being colorful, and flowers have been gladdening the heart since time began. But what more would flowers say to us if we would listen? To answer this question, I sought out the one poet I know who could hear flowers speak, Mary Oliver, before she died last year. Often communicated with flowers and shared their message with the rest of us. In fact, she has a poem called "When the Roses Speak, I Pay Attention." And in it, the roses say to her, as long as we are able to be extravagant, we will be hugely and damply extravagant. Then we will drop foil by foil to the ground. This is our unalterable task, and we do it joyfully. In her poem called Poppies, Oliver says, light is an invitation to happiness. And that happiness, when it's done right, is a kind of holiness, palpable and redemptive. Touched by their rough and spongy gold, I am washed and washed in the river of earthly delight. And what are you going to do? What can you do about it, deep blue night? Oliver understood the peony's eagerness to be wild and perfect for a moment before they are nothing forever. And finally, she says of the late summer roses, fear has not yet occurred to them, nor ambition. Reason they have not yet thought of. Neither do they ask how long they must be roses and then what, or any other foolish question. Flowers are profound, insisting that there is beauty and good in the world and that it keeps coming back and back, no matter what. Once I thought there was no God, but then I saw a rose. May we all be so blessed. And we'll move into our offering. One of the ways, like Laurel said, that Namakwa walks our talk is to give half of our collection plate to support our local community. This quarter, as you know, we're donating half of our collection to the mobile laundry, and we're soon to cut a check for them with all our collected money, so please give generously. To donate, just click on the chat icon and Sarah will display a link, or you can write a check and just send that into the church as well. While we do this, we'll enjoy William Ackerman on the guitar in a song called The Bricklayer's Beautiful Daughter.
As I listened to that, I was closing my eyes, imagining sitting on the chancel, listening to maybe Tim or Bob playing live music, or maybe Donna at the piano, one of our guest musicians, and all of you sitting out there in the pews, sharing that moment of beautiful music. And so now, to bless our offerings, I'll imagine the ushers coming forward with me and pretending like the virus wasn't here so we could actually put our arms around each other. And please repeat after me to bless the offering. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings, to the vision of this congregation, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice, as together we work to build beloved community. As together we work to build beloved community. Thank you. So our annual flower communion is one of those rituals that is practiced in every congregation I've ever seen. And I imagine it's also in Europe and perhaps the Philippines and India and other places where there are Unitarian Universalist congregations, because it is a ritual that started during World War II in Czechoslovakia. There was a Unitarian minister named Reverend Dr. Norbert Čapek, and he was the founder of the modern Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. And he started this in the spring of 1923. He had many members of his congregation who had fled from their former faiths that they had found to be oppressive, and they had a nerve that was hit when the traditional Christian communion took place, and yet there is just something so powerful in rituals. Also, he had Jews who were part of his congregation who would not have participated in a Christian communion. So he looked out in the fields and saw beautiful wildflowers, and he realized that this was a beautiful symbol of the uniqueness and beauty of each of us and of the importance of diversity. And so what he did was invited the members of his congregation to come to the congregation with a flower and to place it into a vase that then had a bouquet of varied flowers representing the community. And then at the end of the service, each person would come up and take from that bouquet a different flower from the one that they had brought. And it represented the fact that in a community, we both, I know my cat, we both give and receive. And that the uniqueness is something that enhances the value of our community. I got to make sure he doesn't jump into the fire. Okay. So it also represents acceptance of differences and, in fact, even celebration of differences. So the ritual gives a concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal and open-minded faith that affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Well, in 1938, so I guess it wasn't started during World War II, but in 1938, the Nazis invaded Prague. And so this ritual was already in place. And at that time is when many Jews had been welcomed into the Prague Unitarian Church. So apparently Nazi spies would show up at his services and listen to his preaching, which was heretical, affirming the worth and dignity of every person. And so eventually, Čapek was arrested, and all of his writings were seized by the Nazis, and he was charged with treason. What they found so threatening was his theology of the inherent worth and dignity of every person to be, as Nazi court records reveal, this was too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. So Dr. Čapek was sent to Dachau, and in 1942, he was killed during a Nazi medical experiment. While he had been there, he was a source of inspiration for the other prisoners, and they were inspired by his courage in the face of torture and starvation. And just before his death, he wrote a prayer that included these words, quote, "It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals," end quote. So very timely for us here and now. And as we remember this gentle man, a Unitarian who suffered a cruel death for his message of human hope and dignity, is what we celebrate when we do our flower communion each spring. In 1939, Maya Čapek, his wife, came to the United States for what was supposed to be just a brief speaking tour, but because of the war, she couldn't return to Czechoslovakia. So it was during this time that she introduced the flower celebration to the first parish in Cambridge. And so it spread quickly from there. And only after the war did she learn of her husband's death. So this morning and this season, many UU congregations like ours are celebrating and remembering Dr. Čapek. And it is a noble ritual, but one that we couldn't do the way that we usually do it this year because we can't get physically together in our sanctuary. What we have done in the past is have people bring flowers or take flowers from the bouquets that we supply and bring them up forward into the sanctuary and place them into the arch that Pete puts together for us every year. And then at the end of the service, around now, each person would be invited to come up and take from the arch a different flower from the one that they brought. And I encourage people to look as they walk into the sanctuary with their flower, how beautiful it is. And then as they walk away with a different flower that was brought by someone else from our community, to really take a moment and intentionally see the unique beauty in that flower. Well, we got this idea that perhaps for our flower communion this year, we could gather on a day before today and have Pete set up our arch somewhere on our side lawn on Pierce Street. And so indeed, that is what we did. We invited people to come on Friday morning and to bring a flower or to take a flower from the extra ones that we brought. And this year I decorated the edges or the top and edges of the arch with some leaves from our ash tree. And so it was Karen Brock who put together what we did that day. And it's so strange to watch us because we're all wearing our masks. My son Marcus brought me a new mask, although I didn't wear it that day. But this is a flaming chalice that represents our faith. And so there is a little bit of photoshopping that Karen did, and I think you'll be able to catch those few little pieces of magic that she put in. So Karen, thank you so much. It was probably around 35 of us who actually came and participated live in our 2020 flower communion. That made me a little teary. Thanks, Karen. And thank you for all of you who came. And for those of you who didn't, we missed you and really look forward to the time when we can all get together again. But this is pretty good in a pinch to be able to be together like this. So let me give a blessing. In the name of creation, which plants in the heart of each seed the future of the flower that will bloom, we bless these flowers. In the name of the holy, which plants in our hearts a noble thirst, which will not be quenched until all people live lovingly and respectfully with each other, we bless these flowers. In the name of the prophets and sages who sacrificed their lives for the sacred ideal of mutual respect for the worth and dignity of every person, we bless these flowers. And the beauty of these flowers blesses us. Megan, I saw your comment about how beautiful it was, and one of the things that I wore in the flower communion is this bracelet that Cora and Milo, I'm not sure which one, made for me. And I also often wear this bracelet that Sally Decker made for me. And of course, I'm wearing my stole that has your names written on it. So our closing song, I'm actually hoping there are still some kids around, because this is a song called the Garden Song, and it is sung by Colorado's own John Denver with the help of some Muppets.
Ladies and gentlemen, with us tonight, one of the good guys of contemporary music, Mr. John Denver.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sowed. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, man is made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's game. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row. Plant your rows straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old Bro watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up inch by inch, row by row. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Till the rain comes tumbling down. Inch by inch, row by row.
Oh, you didn't see the part with those curmudgeons in the balcony. They had comments to make about that song. All right, Shannon. You're unmute.
Thank you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor and celebrate diversity. We are called to respect differences with dignity. We are also called to challenge those who deny the beauty of differences. Let us be bold. Let us be faithful in our commitment to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to affirm and celebrate the beauty of every person. Look around. What a beautiful bouquet of people we are. And now if you'll hold your own hand or hold the hand of someone next to you, or if you have a little puppy or a kitty cat, hold their paw, and we will enjoy our closing circle, the UU Blessing song. Sing along. It's a blessing you were born.
It's a blessing I was born.
And it matters what you do.
And it matters what I do.
What you know about God.
What I know about God.
Is a piece of the truth.
Is a piece of the truth.
Let the beauty you love.
Let the beauty I love.
Be what you do.
Be what I do.
And you don't have to do it alone.
And I don't have to do it alone.
It's a blessing we were born.
It's a blessing we were born.
And it matters what we do.
And it matters what we do.
What we know about God.
What we know about God.
Is a piece of the truth.
Is a piece of the truth.
Let the beauty we love.
Let the beauty we love.
Be what we do.
Be what we do.
And we don't have to do it alone.
That we don't have to do it alone.
We don't have to do it alone. We don't have to do it alone. Cha, cha, cha. And so now, for those of you who want to stick around for a virtual coffee hour, Sarah will randomly put us into breakout rooms, and we can chat and see how each other are. I encourage some of you to explore the options of different small groups. I again praise Chad for initiating this nonfiction book club to lift our spirits. And if you have ideas, just let leadership know and we'll let you know how to send the message out so that you can gather at a social distance with your masks on with others who are like-minded and a member of our beloved community. So great to see you all. And Sarah, do your magic with breakout rooms. Be safe. Take care.